watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny here with Barry, talking about lots of football left to be played. There's a big one this weekend, and it was deemed big as soon as Oklahoma finished off their game last week. Barry, we got the news. OU at Baylor, primetime, 7 o'clock. You're going to be there. Who is most under the gun in this game, in your mind, from the Sooners?
Oh, well, I think it's that defense, of course, and it's you know, we talk about the corners. What Baylor does is like to isolate. You know, even if you try to play zone, they don't let you. They make you play man-to-man out there on the corners, out on the edges with their cornerbacks. But the people in the crosshairs are the linebackers and the safeties who are playing pass coverage and are on the edge, but you're sort of in no man's land because Baylor spreads you out. So you're out here, you got to defend the run. They like to spread you out thin and then run straight up the middle.
Yeah.
You got to protect against the run, but you got to cover these wide outs. Yeah. I mean, it's a literally for 95 plays, you don't know what's going on, and you're just the house is on fire all night long. So
right.
People like Stephen Parker and people like P.L. Lindley and Bond and Stryker and all those guys, Will Johnson.
Every play,
just every play,
yeah.
it's just feet to the furnace.
Right, and you got to think with this true freshman quarterback that Baylor's playing that they're going to even maybe lean a little more heavily on the run to just give him a little bit of a break and to, again, further tax that defense. You know, I agree. I think the defense is really going to be stretched. We've seen it the last 2 times these teams have played. You know, OU goes down to Waco 2 years ago and gets absolutely blitzed. And, you know, I think the offense didn't play well, but to me, Barry, it was a defensive problem. And then last year, obviously, we saw, I mean, if there's a lasting impression from last year, I think it's that first Baylor drive of the second half. It was pitch and catch. It was 8 yards. It was 11 yards. It was 9 yards. They just went right down the field. And, you know, here comes Julian Wilson off the field, just absolutely frustrated, gets a new yelling match with Mike Stoops. Bob Stoops is there. Just the frustration that he felt, I think, was felt by the rest of the Sooner fans. So the defense is definitely going to be tested in ways that, you know, we haven't even seen. That West Virginia game, they don't throw it around like Baylor does. That to me, is not an accurate challenge when it comes to trying to find an equalizer. You know, Tulsa obviously threw it around a bunch. How does that secondary react? How does that front react? And then, Barry, I think you have to look at the offense. They're going to have to be able to answer scores for scores. You can't have a lot of empty possessions if you're the Oklahoma offense.
Yeah, the Sooners have to score. When you look at it, go to that game at Waco 2 years ago. The OU defense held up in the first half, but the OU offense did nothing
right.
that entire half, really the whole game. And at the end of the first half, the OU defense then sort of collapsed, and Baylor went on a runaway. But OU's defense held up, but you got to give them some help because you're not going to hold Baylor to 10 points. You're not going to hold them to 12 or 14. Even if you play great defense, they're going to get 14 possessions and score 4 touchdowns. So you're going to have to score 2. So the pressure's on everybody, and as it should be. I mean, this is a great team. Baylor, they're untested this year, but, you know, they've proved it over the last 2 or 3 years. They're an elite team, and they're ranked 6th for a reason, and they're capable of doing all kinds of damage. It will take an excellent effort to win in Waco.
You know, and I think when we talk about the offense, the Oklahoma offense has been on a tear recently. Ever since that Texas loss, you know, we saw them dismantle K-State. You know, and it really has just continued from there, a pace that, you know, we haven't seen in a long time for any Oklahoma team when it comes to how much they're scoring. They're getting at passing the ball. We saw big plays last week against Iowa State. We saw the run game really come to the front in some other games. But, Barry, this is going to be a test unlike these last 4. You know, this run game getting better. Now's the real test. Can they run on Baylor? Baylor's defense not great. But I wonder how much Baylor's defense has sort of been, you know, you mentioned the competition, has sort of been just, you know, not really that interested in playing to its top level when you start talking about guys like Sean Oakman. It really looks like they've kind of been in neutral cruise control. So those stats, are they real? Are they, you know, a little bit of a lackadaisical effort? I've got OU winning. But I could see this game going any which way.
The thing to remember about this game is also, as great as the OU offense has played, as great as Baker Mayfield has played, as great as Lincoln Riley seems to have transformed this OU offense, in their 2 biggest tests so far to this point, at Tennessee and then the traditional Texas shootout, the offense has played poorly. Got hot at the end of Tennessee. never warmed up against Texas. So in some ways, this is a litmus test for the Oklahoma offense as well as the Oklahoma defense.
All right, lots of good football left. That'll be a great one on Saturday night, 7 o'clock kick. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.